A cozy house in the suburbs of northwestern Chicago. The light of early morning streams through the blinds, drawing thin stripes on the table. The air is filled with the cold aroma of coffee and the warm smell of freshly baked toast. On the table are neatly folded bills, a marked calendar, and Emma's small ceramic cup, a puzzle of her daily routine. Emma Carter, in a jumper and soft pajamas, is making sandwiches for her daughter. She doesn't need her now, but the habit remains. Her movements are precise, as always, spoon here, plate there, everything in its place. A thin gold chain around her neck, a simple ring on her right hand. She smiles, but the smile doesn't quite reach her eyes. Mark walks through the kitchen, his shirt still unbuttoned, a folder of papers in his hands. He has a slight air of dishevelment that Emma used to find endearing. He kisses her on the temple, then quickly, without looking at her face, kisses the cup in which the coffee is still steaming. Mark. Calmly. Is everything all right here? Emma replies, looking up from the stove. Yes. Did you forget about the meeting at 3? Mark. Of course. We'll discuss the project in the evening. I might be late, as I have a dinner with a client. He kisses her on the lips, quickly, as if in a hurry to leave. Emma looks after him, a hint of doubt in her eyes, but she swallows it like a bitter pill. Emma. Quietly. Okay. Just be careful. He smiles and leaves. The door slams. The room is silent for a moment. Emma returns to the table, picks up her phone, and scrolls through the short messages from Mark. Everything's fine, I'll call you later. Each word is economical, each word carries the distance she felt yesterday. She places the phone on the table, but her eyes remain fixed on the screen. The room is dark, with only a street lamp illuminating the curtains. Emma is lying on her side with her smartphone pressed to her chest. Her breathing is irregular. There's a void in her head that she's trying to fill with familiar little things, a grocery list, a reminder about washing shoes, and baby photos in an album. On the screen is correspondence, a few dry messages from Mark, long gaps, the absence of phrases that her emotional security used to feed on. One of the highlights was the bar with guys last Friday. Emma turns the phone in her hands, her fingers trembling. Her eyes rest on the calendar on the wall. Today is Mark's business trip, Friday, on his schedule. What does business trip mean for tomorrow? She remembers how he's been coming home late lately, the smell of other people's perfume on his shirts, and the inconsistencies in his explanations. A burning sensation of invisible infidelity creeps up her spine. She gets up quietly, without waking the house. The night outside is cold, and she can hear a dog barking in the distance. In the hallway, Emma picks up her jacket and puts a photo album in her bag, which she always carries with her when she needs to feel strong. Her breathing is steady and determined. She walks to the door, checks the lock, and steps out into the damp pre-dawn air. Emma's car, a neat sedan, beeps as she gets behind the wheel. Her heart is racing, and her hands are clenched on the steering wheel. She signals to the traffic light and pulls out. She decides to follow Mark, not blaming herself, but with a need to know. Technology becomes her accomplice. She slowly distances herself, keeping 2 minutes below his speed, maintaining her distance everywhere, not allowing herself to panic out loud. The highway is empty, the houses are swaying in the wind, and the lawns are covered in dew. There is no doubt in Mark's mirrors, he is not looking around, and his gaze is direct and focused. Inside Emma, her thoughts are a mix of anticipation, anger, and hope for a mistake. She holds her phone with an app that shows Mark's location, and he turns into a residential area where he would never have stopped before. She follows him, her heart beating faster and faster. Cars pass by, and houses fly by like scenes from someone else's life. Mark parks his car in front of an unassuming house, a small sign, worn-out paint, and a narrow fence. Emma hides behind the trees to watch what he's doing without making eye contact. The door of the house opens. A young woman, in her early 20s, comes out, wearing jeans and a brightly colored coat. Her hair is pulled back in a careless ponytail, and she carries with her that slight air of restlessness that comes from being used to waiting. She stops when she sees Mark's car, then smiles, and the smile turns into a sigh of relief. She runs to him, and their embrace is a family one. There is an intimacy in it, but not a flirtation, rather, the embrace of a relative. Lily hugs Mark tightly, as if she were holding on to a fragile thread of hope. She kisses him on the cheek, and he returns the gesture as if it were a familiar ritual that had been going on outside of the light. She holds his keys in her hand, a small yellow keychain with a figurine of a plane that Mark had once bought for a family trip. Now, she holds this object as if it were a symbol of trust. Emma emerges from her hiding place, unable to conceal herself any longer. Her steps are heavy, and her breathing is short. When Lily notices her, a delayed insurance smile instantly appears on the girl's face, the kind of smile one uses when they're not prepared for overt aggression. Emma. Still quiet, voice trembling. Who is she? Mark looks down, as if he's been caught doing something. His face is a mix of guilt, confusion, and exhaustion. He takes a small step towards Emma, as if he wants to explain, but the words don't come. Mark. Trying to find a steady tone. Emma, wait. It's Lily. Emma. Voice breaking. Lily? Who is she? What did you give her the keys to our car for? What kind of house is this? Lily takes a step back, her face pale. She looks at Emma without aggression, almost pleadingly. Lily. Quietly. I didn't mean to. I was looking for someone to help. He helped me get away from my boyfriend. He gave me a place to stay for the night. I didn't know it would cause this. It's not what you think. Emma freezes, as if someone has struck her. In that moment, her body is filled with adrenaline and bitterness, not just from the betrayal itself, but from the fact that the truth was so different, but no less painful. Mark had kept her away from the facts, had kept the keys, had kept the answers. Emma takes a step forward, her hand clenched into a fist. She can't hold back her sobs, but at the same time, her insides are burning cold. Noisy, between her teeth. Why didn't you tell me? Mark. Breaks into a whisper. I was going to explain everything, but... Mark's words are drowned out by her anger. In a fit of resentment, Emma raises her hand and slaps him across the cheek. The slap doesn't feel like an act of physical violence, but rather like a release of pent-up shock. Mark steps back, not in pain, but in surprise. Lily stands there, her mouth slightly open, her face a mix of guilt and realization of how devastating silence can be. Mark. No loud words, only whispers. Emma. Emma doesn't listen. She turns around, gets into her car, and starts the engine. Inside the car, the clock counts down the seconds, as if measuring the distance that now lies between them. She drives away without looking back, her hair in disarray and her eyes filled with tears. Mark and Lily stand silently on the porch. The house falls back into its usual silence, which now feels foreign and heavy. Mark gets into the car and watches as Emma drives away. He reaches into his pocket, as if he wants to pull out his phone and call her, but he doesn't. His face is a mix of guilt and pain. Lily steps closer and places her hand on his shoulder. In this simple touch, there is both a promise and a burden, a promise to help now, and the burden of the inevitable consequences that await them all. The camera, in the scene's imagination, moves away, a street, another house, the dawn becomes brighter, but the light doesn't illuminate the truth, it just makes it visible. Claire's apartment is Emma's younger sister's. It's small but bright, with magnets on the wall from the cities they visited as children. Claire pours coffee, and Emma sits on the couch in her coat, her face swollen from sleep and tears. Her hands are still trembling, and she has a photo of her daughter in her bag. Claire sighs and sits down next to her. "What do you have to say? I thought he was just gone for 2 weeks, and you'd come home. But how could he?" Emma is silent, the words stuck in her throat. She remembers Mark holding the keys in Lily's palm, the small airplane keychain flashing in her mind like a jab. She needs to understand why he lied, not to punish her, but to find out the truth. "Emma." Quietly. "I don't want revenge. I want the truth. And I want to know why he didn't tell me." Claire puts down her cup, puts her hand on her sister's shoulder, but doesn't give her any ready answers. The clock is ticking in the kitchen. Emma decides to take action, slowly, like someone who is returning to the wheel of life for the first time after a shock. The setting is a small bakery cafe called Wheat Morning. There is a display of croissants, and soft jazz music plays in the background. Lily is behind the counter, smiling at the customers, but her smile is tense. She's holding a stack of receipts and a piece of blotting paper with chalk on her fingers as she washes warm cups. Emma enters without introducing herself or specifying her identity. "Emma." Without greeting. "Are you Lily?" Lily freezes, her face changing, fear, then caution, then a kind of acceptance of the inevitable. She removes her apron, invites Emma to the table, her voice quiet. "Lily." Politely. "Yes. Can I help you with anything?" Emma looks at the girl, her eyes filled with a mix of anger and pity. She listens as Lily tells her the story. It's a simple and brutal tale. Lily had left a boyfriend who was threatening her a few months ago, and she ended up at a city shelter, where she was given a hotline number. Coincidentally or not, she met Mark when he visited the shelter with a donation box. He offered to help her, some money, a safe place to stay for a few nights, gas for her car, and a job. He gave her the car keys because she needed to drive to job interviews and escape from her pursuers. He gave her the yellow keychain because it was the only spare key he had. According to Lily, there was nothing else, at least nothing that could be considered an affair. Lily. Tears in her voice. "I didn't know anything about your family. I thought they'd help. He gave me a corner of the house until I got back on my feet. I didn't want to get involved in anyone's relationship." Emma listens, her mind a jumble of images: Mark with the boxes at the shelter, Mark in the office with a serious face, Mark and Lily on the doorstep of the little house. The doubts don't go away. She needs more than Lily's words, she wants proof of caution and truth. "Emma." Resolutely. "Show me you're telling the truth. Where have you been these nights? Who else knows about this?" Lily gives the address of the shelter, the name of the social worker, and the phone number. She seems ready to open up, but there is fear in her eyes that she will now become the subject of an investigation rather than the person with the problem. The setting is a glass door, a hallway, and the smell of air conditioning. Mark is in the office, his face is tired and anxious. He holds the phone and presses the same name. Finally, he hears Emma's voice, short and fragile. She asks to see the documents, receipts, and the shelter's contact information. Mark realizes that the thin, shaky platform on which he had built his silence had cracked. Mark. No pause. Emma, I wanted to. I was going to tell you. I was afraid that you wouldn't understand that it's not what you think it is. I thought I could handle it and explain it later. Emma. Into the phone, flat. You put my life on hold, Mark. You thought for yourself, made decisions for both of us, and hid it under the guise of help. Who else knows about this? How many nights? Mark is silent for a moment. He realizes that the truth will no longer be his savior, it could become a switch. Mark. Quietly. I only spoke to those who helped, the volunteers at the shelter, Lily a couple of times in person. I didn't want to tell you because I was afraid it would destroy you. I was wrong. A small room with a soft armchair, diffused light, and bookshelves. Emma has come to see a family therapist, recommended by Claire. She doesn't know if she wants to save her marriage, but she knows that talking to a professional can give her the tools to separate emotions from facts. The therapist. Slowly, without judgment. When someone says, I wanted to protect, it often means, I made decisions alone because I was afraid of the reaction. Your anger is a way to protect yourself from something you have no control over. What do you want now, Emma? Emma thinks she wants the truth and the freedom to choose. She's not sure if the choice will be in favor of saving the marriage, but she knows that dialogue is necessary. Emma. Quietly but firmly. I want him to stop making decisions for me. I want time to figure out who I love and who I'm afraid of losing. The therapist proposes a plan, meetings for the two of them, rules of openness, full access to phones/messages for a certain period, a separate meeting with the shelter's social workers, temporary separation to alleviate the tension. Emma agrees to one condition: no hasty decisions, only meetings, facts, and external evidence. Location: Emma and Mark's house. Dim light, furniture fading into shadow. Emma returns home for the first time since that morning. She opens the door, and there's Mark. He's sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of tea, his face drawn. On the table are a couple of printed letters from the shelter, the names of volunteers, and an invoice for Lily's room, which includes a transfer from Mark's bank account. Emma. Entering, evenly. Did you leave this here? Or did you want me to find it somewhere else? Mark. Looks up. I thought that if I prepared everything, I could explain everything calmly. But you left. I couldn't handle it. He hands her the papers. They contain the shelter's receipt, Lily's brief thank you notes, and the names of people who confirm that Mark paid for a short stay and transportation assistance. There are no intimate notes or sweet messages, just a dry account of assistance. Emma takes the papers and reads them. A storm rages within her, a sense of relief from confirming Lily's words, but also a deeper wound from the secret and the fact that he didn't consider her mature enough to tell the truth. Emma. Coldly. You didn't say anything because you didn't believe in me. You thought I couldn't handle the truth. That's worse than any infidelity, Mark. That's a presumption of my weakness. Mark. Otherwise, suddenly open. I was ashamed. I felt helpless. I thought by helping her, I was compensating for my own helplessness. I didn't tell you because I wanted to keep the house clean, as if I could separate helping the world from our lives. But I was wrong. Suddenly, there's a knock on the door. A man appears, stocky, with a tight-lipped sneer. It's Lily's ex-boyfriend, the one she ran away from. He asks about the girl, the keys, who gave her a roof. He sounds menacing. Mark steps between him and Emma, voice even but firm. X. Sharply. Did you think you could hide her and no one would know? Give me the phone, I will never hurt her, but I will live with shame. Mark. Calmly but firmly. She will not return to you. It is her choice. And if you threaten her or my family, I will call the police. The man takes a step forward, the tension grows. But then Lily comes out of the shadow of the house, determined and unafraid. She looks into his eyes and says, "You've already done it. I'm not afraid anymore." She picks up her phone and turns on a recording, accidentally recorded from her date, where his threats can be heard. The man freezes, he has nowhere to retreat to. He walks away, leaving the retreating figures back trembling with anger and defeat. This scene is a turning point. Emma sees Mark taking risks, standing up for himself. She sees Lily not as a rival, but as a person fighting for her life. But the internal rift between Emma and Mark remains. After the threat is gone, they sit at the same table. The clock shows it's late. The silence is thick, but not empty. All the exposed facts, the statements, receipts, and witness notes, are laid out on the table. But facts are not the same as trust. Wearily. I don't know if I can forgive, Mark. I have 1,000 ifs in my head, if you had said, if you had trusted me. Mark. Muffled. I know. And I'm ready to do whatever you ask. Therapy sessions, full transparency, everything. But if you leave, I won't beg. I'll be honest. I'll go to therapy. I'll apologize every day as long as it's necessary. Emma closes her eyes. She doesn't promise anything. Her choice isn't about a hasty revival of family happiness. It's a choice between safety, pride, and who she wants to be. Emma. Slowly. We need time. For talking, for witnesses, for figuring out who else we have besides fear. But I can't live in the shadow of someone else's secrets. If you want to stay in this family, start by not making decisions for us. Mark nods. He knows that the word start is a promise of hard work. Lily leaves quietly. She has resources now, and her presence is no longer a trigger for their destruction. Emma is left sitting alone, staring at a photo of her daughter in her purse. The night slowly descends upon a world where nothing has been wasted, the truth has been revealed, but the consequences are just beginning to unravel. The camera moves slowly around the empty bedroom. On the bedside table are printed papers from the shelter, and her daughter's photos are neatly folded in an envelope. Emma is sitting by the window with a cup of tea. A gentle breeze is blowing through the curtains. She is flipping through the printed pages, reading the names of the volunteers. Emma, to herself. Quietly. It's not so much the truth, as it is the decision to live with it or die beneath it. There is a soft knock on the door. Claire. She brings a box of books and 2 packages of sleeping pills. Claire. Sits down. You look exhausted. Do you think what they suggested in therapy will work? Emma. Looks at the envelope. It has to be tried. But I'm tired of explanations that replace change. Claire takes her sister's hand. Their silence is not emptiness, but preparation. The screen goes dark. A warm room, Dr. Ivanova is leading the session. There are folders on the table. Mark and Emma are sitting in the chairs. The atmosphere is tense, and every breath counts. Dr. Ivanova. Calmly. We've been talking about the rules of transparency. Let's put them in writing. This is not a punishment, but a contract of trust. Will you both sign it? There's a pause. Mark looks at Emma and nods. Emma picks up a pen but doesn't sign immediately. Emma. Clearly. I won't sign anything that allows you to make decisions for me. But I will sign the rules if they involve transparency, access to the calendar, access to the transfers, and regular reports on our interactions. And I want guarantees, external witnesses. The social workers at the shelter will be aware of our meetings. Mark. Embarrassed. I'm ready. I want to earn your trust again. But I'll also ask you not to treat me like a criminal. I didn't hide anything to cause harm. Dr. Ivanova interjects. The contract is not initiated by fear, it's about a hand tool. You sign a commitment to be open and come to meetings. This is the first step. Emma finally signs. Mark signs after her. They both look exhausted but determined. A bright room in the orphanage. Lily, social worker Olga, Emma, and Mark are sitting at the table. Lily is holding a mug of hot tea, she looks less scared than before. Olga. Businesslike. We can confirm that Mr. Mark provided short-term financial support. It was used to pay for accommodation and some personal expenses. No intimate relationships as far as the shelter knows. Emma. Restrained. Lily, do you want us to avoid each other in the future? What do you need? Lily. Looks at Emma, then at Mark. I need you not to use my story in your family dramas. I want to leave, find a job, and not go back to a house where there's a lot of fighting. I'm grateful, but I want boundaries. Mark. Quietly. I understand. And I'm sorry, not for helping, but for hiding it. Lily nods. Olga explains the options: transfer to a temporary housing program, a first-month rental allowance, and resume assistance. Lily agrees to start the process. Everyone feels relieved as the third-party confirmations resolve some of the issues. It's night. Emma and Mark are returning home when they see a familiar silhouette in a traffic light. It's Lily's ex-boyfriend. He's walking, clearly suspecting where she might be. Mark takes a step forward. Mark. Loudly. You have to leave. You've been banned from approaching. We've already contacted the police. He shows a printout of the application and the date of submission. The man swears furiously and takes a step forward. A police car rushes towards the headlights and stops. 2 police officers get out, talk to the man, and take his information. He leaves, but now the legal response is in place, and the case is being monitored. The next day, Lily receives a written confirmation of the temporary ban on approaching. This is a small victory. Emma sighs as her fear subsides, but her vigilance remains. Mark brings back the bank transfer printouts every week. Emma and he keep a family budget together. Mark shows a contact log, in which he writes down the names of new people. They do daily trust reports, short meetings of 10 minutes, where each says what worries him and what pleases him. The camera shows progress and missed steps. Once Mark forgets to record a meeting with a volunteer, Emma is upset, jealousy flares up, then subsides after a sincere explanation. The scene shows that the process is not linear, there are arguments and setbacks, but people return to the agreement. Mark's office. His boss, Anna, calls him in for a conversation. She is aware of the facts, calls to the shelter and financial transactions, and expresses concern about the company's reputation, as some of the assistance was mistakenly labeled as charity on behalf of the company. Mark faces a disciplinary investigation. Anna. Sternly. Transparency is part of our policy. We need to find out where the lines are. But if you are providing personal assistance without using the firm's resources, that's a different matter. Just give me the documents. Mark. Openly. I'm willing to provide them. I'm not hiding anything. I haven't used corporate accounts. The investigation is going smoothly, but Mark is navigating it with complete transparency and honesty. The management team appreciates the honesty and the process of rectification. He stays at work, but his position is not the same. He has to rebuild his professional reputation as well as his personal one. A small party at the shelter is a quiet farewell. Lily, already with a new bag and documents, thanks the volunteers. Emma and Mark arrive, Mark holding a small envelope with money for the first week of rent, but Lily refuses to take it. She looks directly into Emma's eyes. Lily. Reserved and honest. It's important for me to say, you both changed my life. But not because either of you saved me. But because you gave me a place, and I realized that I could go on without fear. Thank you. Emma. Without breaking down. Take care of yourself. And if you need us, we're here. But you know, boundaries are important. I want your life to be your own. They embrace, not as lifelong friends, but as people who have crossed paths. Months pass. One day, Mark goes on a business trip, and Emma receives a series of old messages from a colleague that could be interpreted in an ambiguous way. Emma's heart beats faster. She feels an old habit, blaming, making a scene, and demanding immediate recognition. She seeks help from Dr. Ivanova. Dr. Ivanova. Gently. Fear is always about the future, not the facts. Ask, what do I need to do to avoid falling into an old reaction? Emma takes a step back, writes a message to Mark, can we talk tomorrow in a confidential session? Instead of an instant rebuke, she chooses structure. Mark returns, explains, it was a professional exchange for a project. He gave access to the correspondence, showed the contacts, and provided details. Emma hears, checks, and her anxiety subsides. They both understand that the previous, panic-blame, dynamic could destroy everything again if they don't maintain discipline. Time passes. The camera shows a small group of people in the park, friends, family, Claire, and Lily, who has come on an invitation and is holding a cake. The birthday of their daughter is a symbolic event because she lives with another parent, but it brings people together in a moment of remembrance and peace. Mark. Without looking up. I know I still have a lot to earn. But I want to be here. Not because I'm afraid of losing it, but because I want to be worthy of it. They exchange a tiny smile, a genuine one, not forced. The audience applauds, and the warm sun shines on their faces. Lily is talking to Olga about her new job. It's night. The house is silent. Emma is sitting alone in the kitchen, looking at a photo of her daughter. Mark comes in quietly, bringing a book, the one they've always wanted to read together. He sits at the other end of the table. There's an emptiness between them, but it's not cold, it's working. Emma. Restrainedly. I don't know if we'll have the same us anymore. I don't want the same illusion. I want to see the consequences of your promises in days, not in speeches. Mark. Quietly. I understand. And I don't want you to live in fear that I'll make decisions for you again. If that's the case, then leave. I'll respect your choice. Emma looks at him. She doesn't respond immediately, but she takes the book and places it between them as a symbol of their small collaboration. They don't hug. They don't kiss. They stay together, but with clear boundaries. Last shot, they get up and open the window together, their lips slightly parted from the cold air. In the garden, the first buds are dusted with spring, a sign that the trauma has been overcome, but growth is just beginning. This ending does not offer a traditional happy ending, it offers the beginning of consistent work and mature choices. Trust is not restored by a single act of recognition, it is built through a series of small actions that must be repeated and validated in real life. Lily walks away, free from shadows, Mark stays and pays the price with honesty and discipline, Emma gains the right to make choices, and she takes her time to do so. The scenes leave room for the future, perhaps they will be a family again, or perhaps they will not.